family and culture. This is generational expectations. How this has impacted us. But just because it was normal in your family doesn't mean it's healthy for you. We got tons of those. You can love them and still do it differently, and that is so true. And I think I got to, and I think that was my first expectation break for me, because I come from a family of predominant women. For some reason, God chose to fill us with women and less men. I actually had a friend that said, told me growing up, it was like, why are all the women in your family so beautiful? And then he after being around us a lot, he said, I know why. He was like, because it's like, it ain't nothing but y'all women. Y'all gotta marry y'all somewhere, right? So, and then on top of that, the women in my family are crazy. I have to say that. We are Taza. But it's not so much that we're crazy. We're very steadfast and headstrong and strong-willed, because we are predominantly women. You know, we have, you know, led this family since, you know, for, oh my gosh, like, and it's funny because in all of our families, either it's all girls or one boy. We've recently started turning the tides where you may get two. Like, my mother was blessed to have two boys. And two of my cousins were blessed to have two boys. But in every part of our generation, my great-grandmother had 13 children. I want to say 11 actually survived childbirth and everything. So she raised like 11 children. And out of all of those children, everybody was blessed with one son and a slew of girls. And then even coming into my grandmother had 3 girls and 1 boy. My mother was blessed to have 2 boys, 1 girl, but my aunts both had girls, right? My uncle unfortunately passed at a young age, so he wasn't able to father any children. And after my grandfather passed, my grandmother helmed the family for years, for generations. And then me, of course, I was blessed with 1 boy. I got 2 girls. My brother got 4 girls and 1 boy. You know? So men are scarce by us in nature. Even my daughter, she has 1 boy and 2 girls. So that's just our family dynamic. I said all that to be saying, like, just growing up, the things that we were taught, like by my grandmother, certain things for us, how to be a woman and how to be a lady, and oh, family, you don't do this, you do that, you know, and that no matter what happens, family is family. When I learned that I could walk away, and that there's 2 types of families. There is the family that you were blessed with or born to, right? And then there's the family that you choose.
Right.
That was a turning point for me, and that happened for me when I hit my 20s. And I married my husband, whatever. I had a daughter already. I met my husband, I married him, and went off to live our lives. And it was a whole new experience. And there were things that I was exposed to, I was learning, you know, trying out for myself. And my grandmother and my family was like, that's not how you were raised. Okay. You know? And even something on a minute scale like Christmas. I didn't do Christmas, Easter. I didn't do those. One, because my husband was a history buff. And, you know, he researched a lot of things. And we didn't want to teach our children untruth. And you know, so we researched a lot of this stuff, where it came from. You knew it wasn't true anyway because growing up. But, you know, we learned that this is just tradition. This is man-made up stuff for whatever reason. And we were like, no, we're not doing that. That's just not what we're doing. So, and my family was so against that. Mm-hmm. You had a Christmas. I said, okay. Why can't they have a Christmas? Because that's not what I'm raising. Mm-hmm. You know. But we didn't deny other people from giving them gifts. We just didn't do it. So what about for you?
Well, nothing was normal in my family. Everything was toxic and crazy. So I had to figure out that was not normal. You know what I'm saying? Going home and never knowing what you were going home to was not normal. That's not how normal people lived. You know, people actually... So discovering the Cosby Show for me was safe, right?
Right.
I used to be
a functioning black family.
I used to be like, oh, people talk about stuff and just, you know, come home and do homework and, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So that was like, for me, the first time I was like, huh, this looks like somewhere where I want to be. You know?
There's structure, there's hope, there's discipline, there's love. They talk. Without screaming.
Nice functioning family.
Right.
You know, also I had my son early, and my grandmother was very used to raising all of the kids. And for me, I wanted to raise him. That didn't go over very well with her. Mm-hmm. She wanted to just do everything she wanted to do her way with him. And so we used to clash. It was bad. Right. So just trying to like navigate that whole, you know, thing and be also still trying to navigate growing up. Mm-hmm. Was a little different. Right. Definitely difficult. But learning about like therapy and mental health and like those are things was a new gate that was like opened for me, because then it was like, okay, those things were not good. Let's process that stuff and figure out like why you weren't able to ever process it before, and like why your family, you know, lived like this. And then it's like, oh, they were dealing with their own mental health issues and trauma that they never really identified and dealt with. And so for me, that's when the healing was able to like really begin, because I was able to, you know, deal with my mom being schizophrenic and recognizing that, and then also dealing with the fact that my family had their own things that they never identified and dealt with, but I was able to begin processing all of that, and then healing started. Right. So I still love them, but I just do things differently. Right. And then listen, when I told my grandmother I was going to treatment and going to therapy, she was like, what? You don't tell these people your business.
What happens in the house stays in the house. Oh my God.
They're gonna take them kids from you.
Yeah, I wasn't that child.
Kids were still younger and stuff. She's like, they're gonna take them kids from you. What is wrong with you? You done went to Virginia and lost your mind. I was like, oh goodness.
I wasn't that child. I wasn't that child growing up. Where what happens, well, I was to a certain extent, and then after some things happened to me, I stopped being that child where what happens here stays here. And even now in my adult life, you know, a lot of people take the effects of, now I do believe you have to be mindful of who you speak to. Mm-hmm. It's about your business. Mm-hmm. But I'm not that person that if I'm going through something, I'm going to hold it in. I'm going to go through it and suffer in silence, or I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not that person.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I'm gonna tell.
Yeah, I'm definitely more transparent than my family would ever like me to be.
I get it. Living your truth versus tradition. Sometimes healing means disappointing people who expected you to follow the path they chose for you. And then, you go off and do your own thing. I can't necessarily say that I experienced that. Reason being is because my mother, being that the life that she lived coming up, she never tried to design my life. My father was never judgmental of me. He just wanted me to be happy. I mean, they cultivated me. Yes, they groomed me and, shaped me and planted seeds of aspiration and so forth in me, But I have to say, they did not, how some people, their parents like, you're going to be a doctor. I remember when I was watching the Serena Williams and Venus Williams story. What is it, King Charles or something like King William, their father, their parents, I think it was like 5 of them, their parents picked their life at birth or before birth. This one is going to do this. This one is going to do this. And then they groomed them and such. And it's not such a bad thing, but I think when you do that, you prevent that person from exploring and learning who they truly are and what truly makes them happy. It's almost like an arranged marriage, right? I mean, not that those are so bad, because eventually, honestly, if you spend enough time with anyone, you can pretty much come to love a person, even a tyrant. It might be a different type of love, but you can grow to love anyone. But I feel as though, even though they show successful careers for these people or lifestyles for these children, and yes, they went on to do it, and they're expiring, and I'm sure they're grateful to their parents. But growing up, I feel as though they were not able to explore being a child, embrace who they are, the good, the bad, the ugly. You know what I mean? So, did you experience that?
Yeah, I think that, well, one, we didn't grow up necessarily like in going to the church or going to church and in a church-filled home. And then I think my dad had this idea of like what he wanted for me or what he wanted for my life. And I didn't necessarily go that way. But there was like a couple of things that like stopped that. Like I was very good at track, but I also had my ACL was torn,
Right.
and I never got it fixed. So I don't think he ever really recognizes that he didn't do that part as a parent. You know what I'm saying? So I was running on it, but it was
messed up.
It was messed up. So I stopped running because it hurt. And I think in his mind I stopped running because I didn't want to listen to him.
Right.
But no, it was hurting. It was just really hurting too much to continue to run on. Right. But now we're in a better place, he and I. And I think I don't know if everyone in my family knows to what extent I really advocate as far as like mental health and domestic violence, but I think the ones that do are very supportive.
Okay.
And root for me. But I know my mom, before she passed, we had to get we had a talk, and we were in a good space. And like I said, my dad and I are in a much better place than we have ever been. So that's really good. So yeah, I think for me, my journey with figuring out who I am led to healing those relationships as well over time.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah.
The good child syndrome. I think that was me.
Not me.
Being the good one often means abandoning parts of yourself to stay safe, accepted, or loved. But you don't have to earn love by being small. That was definitely me. I was the obedient child. I tell people all the time, my brothers got to live. I didn't. And a lot of that was because, like I said, my mother was a single mother, so she relied on me a lot to help her. I pretty much had to grow up, at the age of 6. But just in all of that, and it wasn't so much for love. I don't think I was that way for love. It was just more so of being safe, being accepted, I was the ugly duckling of all the girls, so-called. At least that's what I felt. And even coming up as a child, other people made me feel like, not my family, but outside kids and stuff. So out of all of my cousins and stuff, because they were so pretty, I had a cousin who looked like Holly Robinson Peete as a child. I had another cousin who looked like what's Vanessa Williams, their features favored them. And so forth. So that being said, so to be accepted, I made myself small, and I did what was expected, what was asked. So yeah, I definitely was the good child. And then plus I wanted to please my mother because I saw the struggle that my mother was going through. So I wanted to be that help for her. I was happy. I felt like she really appreciated it. I felt rewarded,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was a middle child. Being a middle child. Well, no, you don't because you're the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
But the middle child is always the forgotten child.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my way of not being to an extent, the forgotten child, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah. But you said you were not that child.
I wasn't. I wasn't the good child. I was. At the time, I didn't know I was angry, but I used to fight a lot. I used to get into fights.
Really?
Yeah, I was always fighting about something. But also, a lot of the time, it wasn't necessarily my fight. I was, like I said, I was very protective.
Right.
My younger siblings or me and my cousins, we also grew up in the house with my grandmother, so they're like my little sisters. Or even with my older cousin who is my sister, we would be, when she would fight, I would fight. So
one fight, we all fight.
That's it. So
right.
Yeah, I definitely didn't have the good child syndrome thing. But I have a sister, my younger sister, we're 15 months apart. Or 18 months apart. But she can speak to that.
Right.
She was my mom's daughter, and she definitely was the one who never got in trouble and,
right.
was always good and all the things. That wasn't me.
Right. I got it. So cultural expectations and identity, right? When culture says this is who you're supposed to be, but your soul says otherwise, the tension is real. But you get to choose your own name, your voice, and your own story. Well, I can't say I get to choose my own name because I come, once I get my parents give me that. But I do agree that I get to choose my own voice and my own story. Growing up as a black child, a black girl, a lot of people said I act white. And I think it is not so much that I act quote unquote white. It was more or less that I was blessed to have, growing up where I grew up. I grew up in a house and everything, in a neighborhood, but it was in an urban neighborhood. I mean, it wasn't like poverty stricken or anything, but it was predominantly black. And Black families were more about survival. So, but I was blessed to have a family that, even though we were about survival, they were about exposure and culture. So I grew up camping. I grew up taking trips, doing those type of things that a lot of Black children, unfortunately, was not. I went to operas. I went to, what do you call them, art museums and stuff. And this is outside of school stuff, right? I had an aunt who was our Sunday school teacher, and she was my favorite aunt. So a lot of this stuff came from her. She was a reader. And that's where I got my love of reading from, was her, because I could remember sitting with her, going over her house for the weekend, and she would sit down all day. Like after she's done her stuff, man, she'd get her novel, and J.C. Andrews was her favorite. She'd get her, that's why I learned about, what's that book, Flowers in the Attic. She'd get her book, and get her little either piece of wool or twirl her hair, and she would read for hours. And that's how I was able, because that's what got me into reading and everything like that. But these were the things, and even music. So because my cousins lived in what people considered, they were in middle class. We weren't middle class where I grew up, but my cousins were. So I got exposed to that life. I had one cousin, most of her friends were white because of the area that she lived in. So I got exposed to a lot of different music, right? So I wasn't just all about your R&B, your hip hop, you know what I'm saying? I love rock. I have a whole eclectic thing of music, like genre of music, I love soul, I love jazz, I love pop. I love a lot of it, right? I like so many different genres of music and stuff. And so, I had people that I would go around, and a song would come on, and I knew it. And he was like, "You know that song? Like, how you know that song? You Black." I'm like, "What does that got to do with anything?" And I like it. So, I mean, even like my baby brother growing up, I think his favorite band group was Nirvana. And, that was like odd for a Black kid, So, I definitely agree with those cultural expectations and identity. I'm glad I was not restricted to them, because I think it would have stumped a lot of me. And I didn't hang around the typical, Black girl, I wasn't so urban, not that that's a bad thing, but I wasn't about the urban life or anything, because I was exposed to more than that, so yeah. But what about for you?
Growing up was odd because I was a Black girl, but I was a dark-skinned girl. And then I was pretty for a dark-skinned girl, or I had...
Oh, I hate those.
Nice, I had...
Nice hair. Pretty hair for a dark-skinned girl.
I had, nice hair or pretty hair or this and that. So it was different. And then I got called like weave girl sometimes, but it was my actual hair, so it was crazy. But I remember this one kid when I was in 5th grade. He told me, April, you're the prettiest girl in the class. He was like, but they're not going to say you're the prettiest girl in the class. They're going to say this other girl is the prettiest girl in the class because she's light skinned.
Right. Oh, girl.
And the girl that they were talking about happened to be my best friend. But, for me, it was just like, what is this about? And then I would get, I don't date light-skinned girls, but I would date you. No, you don't have to date me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, no, you don't have to date me. It's okay. But so growing through that, kind of I would be leery of guys who would want to date me because it's like, are you really okay with dark skinned girls, or do you just want to date this dark skinned girl kind of thing? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of also like shaped my whole idea of like who I was and where I belonged. But I didn't realize that it was shaping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
But what I do know is that moving forward, I get to navigate who I allow in my space.
Right.
And so for me, I don't really concern myself with it too much, you know what I mean?
Right.
Anymore. I grew up in the projects in Bronx, New York, so we were definitely not in a rich community. So trying to navigate that and navigate whether people were your friends or not your friends, and who liked you, and then also, like I said, I was in a household of it was my older cousin and then my younger siblings and younger cousins, and it was a lot of us, and we had other people who liked this cousin who didn't like this cousin, who liked me who didn't like or didn't like me, and they liked these people. So you never knew if someone really liked you or didn't like you.
Right.
I had to actually, before I got to the work environment, I realized I was already navigating, personalities and difficulties and all that stuff. So you just carry on.
Yeah.
You just carry on,
Yeah.
and you figure it out. But now I get to figure out how I just decide what company I keep.
Right.
And, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think now I'm too concerned with who likes me or who doesn't, and all those things.
Right.
And I also don't think at the time I was realizing how much it was really bothering me. But it came up when I was doing some work.
Right.
It did come up. But now I'm just like, it's cool. It's life. And yeah, you get to just move on from it, Yep.
Yeah, I agree. So moving forward, now we want to look at how expectations affect our career and ambition. The pressure to have it all by a certain age, that is a big one. Lord knows. I can honestly say I still struggled with that one. Milestones are not universal. There's no perfect timeline. Your life isn't late. It's unfolding. But we do have that expectation by a certain time frame. I should have this, and this. And I know a lot of it is culturally or society has impacted us, but it is, and it puts us at a measuring for how successful we are. If I'm successful, if I'm not, when I had to basically start my life all over from scratch at the age of 49, 50. And I mean, when I say scratch, I was going back, I had to go back to ground zero, and I'm expecting at age 50, man, I'm supposed to be do all this other stuff, my kids are grown and gone and everything, and I should be able to do this. And here I was, I'm back at ground zero, I lost my business or don't have my business. I do have a job, thank God, but, finding housing and all of this stuff, right? So it weighed on me so much because I looked at myself like, how are you starting over at 50? You know, you're halfway through this. Not that you're halfway through this, 'cause I don't want to put a timeline on my life. But at least you're at the 50, that you've been here now 50 years, right? On this earth. And you have nothing to show besides children and trauma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I do agree that does, you know, that plays a huge thing on us.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does. I myself had to start over several times.
Right.
And then this last time, I was just like exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was exhausted.
It takes a lot.
Yeah, I was exhausted from it. But I think this last time for me was the time that I just was like, are you gonna start over and then not do this anymore?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then not do this anymore, because there's a reason why you keep repeating
right
certain things. Like certain things you can't like control, but certain things you have control over. And when are you gonna figure out the things that you have control over?
Right. Like they say, and you're doomed to repeat the lesson until you get the
Yeah. And then I think this last time I was like, aha. You know, that aha
moment. You had your aha moment,
yeah. It was like,
your eureka. I got it.
It was like, okay, all right. So this was me. These things were me.
Right.
And then I have control over these things.
Right.
And so I'm responsible for this.
Right.
And I can control these things.
Right.
And I will control these things from now on.
Right. Shanti, you're so sweet. So external validation versus internal fulfillment. She is not going to do it.
Listen.
You have your own couch, sir. Go get on your couch. You have your own brand new couch.
Forget about it.
I know, right? He's like, Auntie April saved me. So external validation again versus internal fulfillment. Chasing applause is exhausting. Chasing alignment is liberating. One is one is loud, I'm sorry, and the other is deep. I agree, because one thing I have to say, T.I., and I like T.I. T.I. is a man of wisdom, right? And one thing he always said, he said, if you live by the applause, you will die by the boos. And he is so right. And that's like you said, it is exhausting. You're people pleasing. So you're never walking in your true authentic self, right? And you're never accomplishing the things that you may really want to, because you're doing what other people want to see you do for that recognition. Shanti, you are ridiculous. So, yeah, that's my take. She is not.
I think,
dude.
Absolutely. Honestly, applause for me is overwhelming. Too much of it.
Right.
I can't be in a room full of too much going on.
Right.
But I do know that there's also time where I have to be mindful of getting in a room full of people, right? And so that's where the alignment comes in, though. So I make sure that lately I have been trying to get that fine balance, right? Aligning myself properly, but not looking for the applause in it,
right?
Because it's important. It's important to make sure you're doing the work to get to where you need to be. You're showing up for yourself, and all the stuff that's important. But looking for applause, it really is exhausting.
It is.
Yeah, and if you keep searching for it, you're gonna tire yourself right on out. So
I mean, and that's also, I have to say, in that aspect, there's nothing genuine about it, right? It's like your purpose is your alignment, right? So when you're not operating in that aspect, but you're operating in what can I get or how can I be recognized, you're not in alignment. So you're not doing it as for service. You're doing it for yourself. Therefore, yeah, it's not authentic. Chauncey, please, sir. But I do agree with you. Bless you.
Thank you.
So, can leaders please everyone? Short answer, no. And trying to do so will drain you. True leadership starts with you stop needing everyone to agree. And I agree because it's like at my job, I tell my team all the time, you're not going to like me, but in the end, you'll appreciate me. And it's not because I'm a bully or a tyrant. It's just that I myself, I believe in growth. I like seeing people move forward and rise up, and I don't like to see people who are comfortable being stagnant. So I push. And in doing so, I know I ruffle and upset feathers.
Yeah, and then also you have decisions to make, and they can't align with 50 people, right? When you make a decision, not all 50 people are gonna agree with that decision. So I mean, there's no way as one person anyone is gonna always
please. Everybody's gonna be you can't.
Yeah. So
so true. When your dreams don't match others' expectations, and this kind of takes us back to the one about the family thing, I think. If it excites your soul but confuses everyone else, it's probably meant for you. And your vision is yours. God gave it to you, and no one else can see it but you. So you just have to,
I think right now what I'm aligning myself with, my passion for mental health, my passion for domestic violence. I don't think everyone. First of all, trauma-informed care is so very important. And mental health still has a big stigma attached to it.
Right.
And then you add in things like sexual assault or substance use, and then forget it.
Right.
People don't want anything to do with it at times. So I think for me, going that route is not going to always be in line with, people want to associate themselves with or certain brands, things like that. But that doesn't mean, anything. At the end of the day, my heart means well, and I want people overall to be well. Right. I mean, everyone wants to be happy and be well and live well and be comfortable, right? The people deserve to be healthy as along the lines with that stuff, too. So, yeah.
I agree. Hustle culture and productivity pressure. So, rest isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Hustle culture teaches us to run, healing teaches us to root. A person who is a born hustler is forever on the go. And it's like they say, it's just like when you start a business. When you first start a business, you're hustling. You know, you eventually hope that hustling turns into now a business. Where you can just sit back and it runs itself, it does itself, and you're not out here having to keep moving. So I do agree with that. I do.
I think overall, you have to rest.
You do.
Yeah, you have to rest mentally. You have to rest physically. You have to rest. There is nothing that is going to grow without rest. And water. And so
definitely
that's it. Like, you gotta rest. And I know me, I'm gonna give myself some rest.
Right.
So yeah. That's it.
I agree. So now we're moving forward into the spiritual and philosophical part. Are expectations the root of suffering? Which makes sense that that's a question, because expectations or unfulfilled expectations can be suffering.
I know obligation can definitely lead to a stronghold, and that feeling of obligation to people or things.
Yeah. It says, according to Buddhist philosophy, yes. Because expectation creates attachment, and attachment creates pain. And that is so true. I can't tell you how heartbroken I was when I lost everything.
I'm telling you.
Even in loved ones, you parents, you have those parents that when they take their kids to kindergarten, the kid ain't even left the house. But they're crying. It's like, oh, my baby, this, and, all those different things. So, yes, I do agree. Detachment. Purpose without pressure. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you release control. You show up. You surrender the outcome. I never thought about that part. The detachment. Purpose without pressure. And I think that's because part of me is a control freak. I want to control the outcome. I want to have that predictability.
And then what does it cost you, though?
Oh, girl, my sanity.
Right.
It costs me my sanity every time. And like you said, it's draining. It is truly draining.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I said earlier, just the release of it all has gotten me to such a place of peace. Like, there are some things that I still struggle with. Of course, when it comes to your children, you want them to be safe, make good decisions. You don't want them doing things that are harmful to themselves. So you still try to kind of control that, whatever. At least that's where I struggle. But even within that, though, I found myself doing a really good job of being like, listen, you have a choice. This is your life. And you get to choose to do something differently. You get to choose to heal, be well, because we've gone through these things.
Right.
And I'm giving you the resources to make better choices. And if you are choosing not to do that, then that's on you. And so I get to release a little bit from that.
Right.
And remove myself. So yeah.
I agree. I can understand that. What if we dropped every expectation? Radical thought. Radical thought is, if nothing had to happen a certain way, what kind of freedom would you feel? And I guess I would add to that, is it even possible?
Right. I don't know, because I don't know if expectations are bad. Like, I have an expectation to be treated with respect in a certain way. And if that expectation isn't met, then I have a choice, right, to remove myself. But I don't know if the expectation of being treated with respect is like that's not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? I think where expectations get us in trouble is like we expect these people to know we want a thing or we are feeling a certain way. You know what I mean? Like respect or genuineness, common courtesy is like common nature. You know what I'm saying? Like those things are hard to be. It's not hard to be kind,
right,
or decent to a person. Right. Now, are you supposed to know that I'm thirsty and I need something to drink? No.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I just think because even with just certain things in life, you know, like you said, the necessities, right? Mm-hmm. There is a certain expectation with that because they have to be met. Your bills got to be paid. Mm-hmm. You know, all those different things that we find that we need. And that's why I said, so is it even possible? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one I don't know yet. Mm-hmm. I can't say. Mm-hmm. And then faith versus control. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is trust, not just in a higher power, but in the wisdom of not knowing. Now, I have to honestly say, Rich operates this way. Mm-hmm. He really does, to the fact that I can't say I do. I have faith. I have faith, but there is a part of, like you said, control that I want. Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. Knowing the outcome. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I struggle sometimes in that area.
Yeah, I think I'm getting better in this, but I'm also like healing more too. So I think with that, it's easier to not know lately. You know what I'm saying? It's easier not knowing. And I've also been just like when I'm struggling, opening my Bible more. Yeah. 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 So that's also been like different. So
yeah. I get it. I get it. Healing and empowerment. From disappointment to empowerment, right? Okay, so every time you get let down, you gain clarity. The clarity becomes a choice or becomes choice, and that choice is power. I can't say every time I get let down, I get clarity. Mm-hmm. Not every time. Right. But I do agree in those times when I do, it is healing. Mm-hmm. Right? It is. It really is. So, I mean, what about you? Do you get clarity every time?
I can't say that I get clarity every time, but I can say that I have been, the feeling of being let down has been less and less lately because of the way I'm viewing it.
Okay, I got it.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's not necessarily like I'm viewing it as being let down, because I think, like it says, the choice is in the power, but the choice is also in the power of how you see it. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't know if I'm viewing it as being let down. Like, I could be just taking it as like, okay, this happened, and so this wasn't my time, or this wasn't my thing, or this wasn't my for me.
Right, I get it.
You know what I mean?
But that's more, to me, that's more in the lines of acceptance.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily let down from it. I just accepted it, and then
okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So setting boundaries. This here, I can honestly say, is a problem area for me still. Setting boundaries around others' expectations. One, because I still struggle a little with, I guess, like they say, people pleasing. And I don't think it's people pleasing because I want acceptance. It's people pleasing because I like to make people happy. I like to see people smile. So I will go that extra mile, go out of my way. I will honestly burden myself if it makes someone else happy. So in that aspect, I suffer. No is a hard thing for me.
No is a hard thing for me too. And it's still, even though I've come this far.
It's still, for me too. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. I say it more often now, but it's still hard though.
Yeah. And like it says, you don't owe people the version of you that makes them comfortable. You owe yourself peace. And I can honestly say I still sometimes suffer with sacrificing my peace for that version to comfort that other person. No,
I get it.
Yeah.
Me too.
So I do. Wow. This is actually interesting.
We gotta do more to figure out why you still struggle with that.
Well, like I said, I know mine. Mine is I like to see. Number one, I am an empath. So I feel other people's pain, and then being a person who's gone through certain things in my life, I never want anyone to feel that way. I never want anyone to feel unwanted, unloved, unappreciated, not valued.
No, me too.
Or unheard.
I am too, but to the extent that we disregard ourselves, why? Like, that's what I mean.
Right.
Do some work on it.
Oh, I know I have to do some work. Yeah. But I know that's where the root is. I know that's where that root comes from. But yeah, why I do that, I don't know. And the only thing I can think of is because I know that pain. And I don't want another person to feel it. If I can help them not feel it, you know what I mean? I remember that I had a relationship some years back, and I totally sacrificed myself to show this person that they were worthy of love and they were valued, because growing up they were always cut down and they were told that they weren't nothing, they weren't going to amount to anything, and those type of things. And so they had a sense of no value for themselves. They saw them, even though, so everything about them, their outgoing and all that other stuff was a cover up for the suffering that was on the inside. And I just wanted them to know, you matter, you are something, and so I totally really sacrificed myself for them to give them that.
Right.
And in the end, I walked away so damaged. So I agree. There is work that needs to be done here. When people project their fears on you, I've experienced that. Their fear isn't your truth. Their limits don't define your possibilities. And I actually made a t-shirt similar to that. It says, your boundaries are not my limitations, and your limitations are not my boundaries. I love that t-shirt. And I agree. You've had so many people tell you what you can't do, when really the sky's the limit. So
I think that people also are afraid. There's a lot of things. People are afraid, and then they don't want to see you get hurt, so they just are like, no, don't do that. Like a mother to a child.
Right.
They're like, no, that's good. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. But then you also have people that are like jealous, and then they just don't want to see you like fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And succeed. So you I know for me, I had to get over my own fear of success.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I had a bad relationship with being seen.
Yeah, I like the background still. And that's what I'm struggling with right now. Because like you, I had a bad thing about being seen and being heard. So I played it safe in the background, but now, like even in my class, I'm saying I have to start being comfortable being in the limelight or being in the forefront.
Yeah. And that, you know, that comes from a very dark place. I have been, you know, in a position where I don't want people to see me too much.
Yeah.
Because something bad might happen.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, those negative fears on that. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Reclaiming life from societal shoulds. You were never meant to live by someone else's blueprint. Your freedom is in unbecoming. I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I do see the truth in that. I really do.
I do too. Yeah. It's freeing.
It is.
Yeah, it's freeing. Yeah.
So that, honestly, I really like that topic. It was really good. I guess Chauncey liked it too. He's just letting me know it's time to be the bully. So here's the truth. Expectations are everywhere. Some lift us, some limit us, but we always have the power to choose which ones we keep and which ones we leave behind. And honestly, I hope that this episode gives you something to think about, a question to sit with, a layer to peel back, maybe even a script you're ready to rewrite. You know, like something in your life you're ready to change about. Awesome. If this is spoken to you, if this spoke to you, please share it to someone who's trying to break free, because we all deserve to live life, you know, by truth, not by pressure. Honestly, and until next time, give yourself permission to disappoint others in the name of not disappointing yourself. Chauncey, really? So, I mean, and I agree. I really, it's time to minimize the expectations. I'm not going to say let go. There are some expectations I think we should have, but we need to minimize, and then that way we minimize the blow. You know?
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. Well, this was great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on, April and Chauncey.
Yeah.
our guest speaker, Chauncey.
Our guest dog.
Yes, right? You just got to be part of the limelight. Well, and that, thank you for tuning in. It's been an enjoyable segment. Stay tuned, where our next show will actually be on trauma. We will be addressing the effects of trauma. Also, my book, Life Out, Broken Compass, Life Out of Alignment, the effects that trauma has on us, and why we get into those things, as well as the mental part of it and so forth. And until then, thank you for tuning in to Woman2Woman. I hope you enjoyed this. Go out and have a conversation and uplift another woman. And have a good night.
Good night.
Yes, good night. Come on, good boy.